During a heated speech at the Texas state capitol, transgender activist Loren Perkins expressed support for drag performances, which culminated in a physical altercation last week, a report noted on Monday. Fox News reported that the incident quickly went viral on TikTok, picking up more than 1 million views on the platform. In her speech, Perkins likened Texas lawmakers to Nazis, expressing her opposition to legislation that would prevent public libraries and other venues from receiving state funding if they host drag shows, the outlet reported. By manipulating the words of an ancient text and shoehorning it into legislation aimed at an at-risk minority population, you liken yourself to another group that gained popularity in Germany in the 1930s, Perkins said. When a small man with a smaller mustache stood before crowds and proclaimed himself superior to others, I see you here doing the same, Perkins continued, making the comparison to Nazi leader Adolf Hitler. As Perkins began to exceed the allotted time for her speech and was approached by a security guard, an individual whose identity remains unknown dashed in front of the officer, leading to a physical altercation between the two. The brief scuffle temporarily disrupted Perkins' address. By hiding your bigotry behind children like cowards, you will find yourself on the wrong side of history, the activist went on to claim. Some of the first imprisoned under the Nazi Party rule were homosexual and transgender people. No one in the Texas legislature proposes jailing people just because of their trans or sexual orientation. The legislation in question aims to protect children from being exposed to sexually inappropriate behavior and content for their age. The bill is 2 seconds away from the outdated discriminatory 3 articles of laws of the 20th century, and I will not stand for it. We will not stand for it, Perkins claimed. At one point, someone muted Perkins' microphone as she continued to rant. If you wish to eradicate transgenderism from the public life as members of your party have said, you can pry that from my cold, dead hands, Perkins declared, though the legislation does not seek to ban public displays of transgenderism or homosexuality. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the GOP-controlled legislature have also moved to protect young children from being exposed to sexualized drag performances. In January, his administration announced it was expanding investigations into drag queen shows held throughout the state during over the holidays following reports that many of them inappropriately, and potentially illegally, took place with underage children present. WFLA reported late last week that the governor's administration made the announcement Wednesday after reports were submitted alleging that shows exposed kids to sexually explicit content. The announcement came ahead of other shows that were planned later in the week, leading state officials to warn those would be investigated as well. The investigation by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation said contracted company Big Time Operator, LLC, working under the name Drag Fans is potentially violating state statutes through its A Drag Queen Christmas Show, WFLA reported, adding. An investigation by the state began after the show's performance in Fort Lauderdale. Now, another stop on the show's tour in Florida in Clearwater at Ruth Eckerd Hall received a warning over the show's content. As previously reported, A Drag Queen Christmas features former stars of the reality competition RuPaul's Drag Race. The holiday-themed show goes on tour all over the U.S. The latest investigation announcement continues a series of similar actions at drag-focused events. In July, the governor announced investigation into a drag show at a Miami bar, alleging there were children in attendance. The GOP governor has also warned he may have Florida's Division of Child Protective Services launch investigations into parents who brought their kids to the shows. To avoid action being taken against your license, it is your obligation to ensure that minors are prohibited from attending the Drag Fans drag show, Melanie S. Griffin, the Secretary of Business and Professional Regulation, said in a letter to one of the shows scheduled in Clearwater, Florida. If minors are allowed to attend this drag show, the department will take any and all actions available to ensure that you do not pose a threat to minors in the future.